Hi guys, so here is how we will do a book that you want to be stab bound or Japanese bound. So this setup is a lot simpler than the Coptic, but it has a very different look to it. So it really matters how you want your final book to look. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Command N for a new file, number of pages 1, leave facing pages on. I want this one to be square. So I'm going to go ahead and say I want it to be 6 by 6. And I want to bleed again of 1/4 of an inch. And for this, it's very important that you uncheck this little lock to make all settings the same. And you want your, is it inside or outside? Inside margin to be a lot larger. You want to provide at least half an inch, maybe even, like I'm going to set it as 3/4 of an inch for your actual book for the binding part, because what's going to happen is your threading will go here and you'll have a very big gutter, which is the area that won't be shown when you open up a book. So I want 3/4 of an inch, and I want everything else to be 1/4 of an inch, just because I know that the rest of the pages are going to be pretty close to the edge, and that's okay. So we'll click OK, and I have this page. So just like in the other tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and quickly label all of our pages just so you can see what's happening. And this one I'm going to do, really simple, also 8-page document. So to create multiple pages, you click on a page, hold Alt-Option, click and drag until it has the little plus sign, and then you let go and there's your page. So we're just going to label these, and we're going to call this one page 2. We're going to call this one page 3. Let me zoom out a little so it's easier to see. Call this one page 4. This one page 5. Page 6. Page 7. And finally, page 8. So the same as we did with the other one, I should have done this first, but you'll go ahead and work on your grid. So here, as I said, my gutter is much bigger, and I have 3/4 of an inch on each side, so that's where my first lines will go. For this, I think I want, let's see, I'm not sure. We're going to do again a 2-column non-even grid, just because for me, doing this right now, I think that's okay. So we'll go there. Let's see, that's at 1175, then we want this 975 and 1/4 of an inch. Okay, there's my verticals, and for my horizontals, I'm gonna say we want it just under 2 inches, and there we go. Alright, so back to our pages. So now you can see your grid is all set up, and my page art, for lack of a better term, is just these page numbers. So now we're going to save our file. I mean, it's really that simple. So Command-Shift-S saves it. We're going to call this Master 2. Click Enter. Okay. Now we're going to export it to PDF. File, Export, or Command-E. So we're going to call this one the stab bound. So I'm going to call it master2_stab. Click Save. Here's your PDF saving document dialog box. Sorry. So we're going to say all. We want it to save as pages, not as spreads. Then we're going to make sure everything else looks okay. I want to view it after exporting. Compression, fine. Marks and bleeds. I want my crop marks and my bleed marks. Make sure your output looks fine. Don't need advanced. Summary. No crazy warnings. We're good to go. Click Export. Let InDesign do its thing. And when it's all done, it's going to open it up in whatever your PDF reader of choice is. Mine is set just as preview for now. So here you can see we just have single pages, which is exactly what we want, because with the stab binding technique, each of these pages is going to be its own page. We're not folding anything in half this time. They're all separate pages. So for this, if we were to print this out, we're going to File, Print, and once it loads, we are going to tell it that we want double-sided printing. So we're not at the studio, but the studio lets you do double-sided. So I would select my printer, say I want one copy, collated, click on the two-sided. We're going to print all. My 5x5 fits on a letter size paper at 100%. Make sure your percentage is right, otherwise it'll be huge. And then here you go. So you can see page 1 is there, page 2 is in the back, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. All of our pages are right there. By checking this two-sided, it'll print double-sided. What we really need to do, though, is make sure under layout that we do the correct binding. So for me, long edge binding would be to bind on this side of the page, which is what I want because I'm using something that's going left to right. If you're doing a non-square book or you have your layout set to this, then you want to make sure you click on short edge binding. Just make sure that wherever your binding is, it is to the right of whatever your preview is. Does that make sense? So if we go back to page 1, binding would be on the left because this is page 1. Binding is on the right because it's page 2. We don't want long edge binding in this case because long edge is up here. So that would create a book that you have to turn up this way to open. We want our book to be bound on the short edge, turning this way to open. So you'd click print, and that's it. Super simple, and you'll bring that to the workshop on Sunday. See you guys then. Thanks.